Hello, this is Nancy Heslin with another edition of Swim Run Live. Villa is unable to join us tonight, so you are going to be with me. But I have the pleasure of taking you through an amazing show on a subject that I think is familiar to everyone. It is when training takes an unexpected turn. So, in the last few weeks with Villa, in our last couple of shows, we've been talking about setting goals for this year, even though it's already almost end of February, but still setting goals for the next season. We've been talking about choosing the right distances. And when you put all those things together, you typically then have a great training plan. You start out on however long you want to do that, 3 months, 4 months. And you have this idea of visualizing how that's going to look, how that training works for you, what you're going to eat, how you're going to get to that finish line. But the beginning of it is how you're going to get to the start injury free. And typically we think that injuries are really the biggest thing we have to worry about, making sure that, we're not strained or breaking anything along the way. But sometimes life just throws us a curve and we don't know what to do. So we keep going in our sports minds, but there's also psychological problems that come along with that. And so tonight, I had a great pleasure of talking to Kerri Moss Beaumont, who was going to join us. I think it was at the end of last year, but we had some technical issues. Kerri is really well known down here in the Riviera and in Monaco. She's incredibly takes great care for her health inside and out. And she has done the London Marathon like a bunch of times. She's done the Marathon des Sables, and she did the Coastal Challenge in Costa Rica, which was a multi-day challenge. So she's pretty. She really takes care of herself, and she shares a lot of her experiences and encourages others. So she had signed up for the Marathon des Sables last year. She signed up last year for this coming March 26th event, and was really excited and had even found someone else in Monaco that's going to be doing the race, and they made a connection. And then something really crazy, just really freaky happened to Kerri. And I did have a chance to speak with her, and we were going to share the video, but it's actually really long. And so I'm going to give you a little bit about the background to the story before we go on and see the video about how she's had to adjust this setback to actually reaching her training goal. So Kerri was down in the States, down in Texas in November, and she was on a business trip with her husband. Everything was great. They had gone out to dinner with two other business people, quite tall, sort of football types, guys you can imagine. And they were leaving the restaurant. She put on her lipstick. She was feeling good. She was walking down the street, and some random, I believe, homeless guy, but he was really hyped up on meds, came from nowhere and attacked her and broke her elbow, shattered her elbow really badly, and among other things. So she was taken to the hospital. There was a series of events that happened or unfolded, let's say, after that, about how medical treatment is different in the US versus maybe the UK or France. And they were really trying to push a lot of very, very heavy medicines and treatments on her right off the bat. And as I said, Kerri really takes a lot of care to what she puts in her body. Anyway, in a series of very strange events, she ended up going back to the UK for an emergency surgery. They kind of put parts of other people in her arm, and the surgery seemed fine. She came back to France, and a couple of weeks later, she just noticed things weren't going as well. She got herself off some of the painkillers they had given her after the operation, but the arm wasn't feeling good. And after Christmas, she actually ended up back in emergency surgery, and they had to remove the stent that was in there. It's just been an ongoing trauma for her. She has tried to remain as physical as she can, which has been difficult because she's actually in a lot of pain, trying not to dumb that down with medicine. And she still had that goal of doing the Marathon des Sables after the first surgery. And even coming out of that first surgery, she started seeing a therapist for rehabilitation, and she was sharing her goals. And the therapist was like, okay. And then, she had that second setback with an infection and had to have a second surgery. So when I caught up with her in January, she was still Kerri. She's really positive, but you can see that the traumatic side of what's happened to her also plays into the fact that she has this goal. She has to do things differently. And she also has the mental side to deal with and the post-traumatic stress. So yeah, she's still going to do it. She's going off to the Marathon des Sables. I think it's 5 days, 6 days, 250 kilometers in the desert, and she's doing it for charity. So I'm going to show you a little video that I had the pleasure of speaking to her with, like I said, and she talks about how she's had to adjust the training this time, which again is something that we always have to do. You know, it could be a slight injury when you're trying to like just get to that goal, but in this case, obviously, it's been a bigger readjustment of what she's had to do. So let's talk to Kerri and see how she's planning to train for the Marathon des Sables next month. If we can roll less than 70 days, how is it that you are going to adapt your training? Obviously, your goal when you signed up last year is not the goal that you're having right now. I'm taking a guess. Or is it?
No, 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 no. I mean, originally I was meant to be doing it with my eldest, and she
Okay.
was going to be given a special exemption, be the youngest competitor, and it was going to be a mother-daughter situation, and we were going to push each other. But her school encouraged her not to do it and to focus on her GCSEs. So when I was entering the race as just Kerri, I thought, you know what, I want to be definitely in, you know, in this sort of top upper echelon of women. But it was more, that was for ego. And I realized that during that period of time, that was when I was a little bit uprooted, i.e. we were moving. I had just stopped my business. And so it was much more, I needed something to satisfy a deeper level of self-approval.
Mm-hmm.
And so because every run has a reason, that's for sure. And that run is completely different to this run.
Okay.
This run is to help me heal. Like, I cannot even tell you the difference in me after having stated this is my goal.
Okay.
It's crazy because first of all, I know I could do it. Now, none of you will believe this, but it's true. If you have a decent level of fitness, but what I'm about to say, if you have a decent level of fitness and you were plopped in the desert with someone else's kit who knew what they were, you know, if you had a kit packed for you, like if I packed your kit and you were plopped in the desert tomorrow, you could do it 100%. It is so much more than your legs moving. It's here. It's about tenacity. It's about drive and determination. Really. It's yeah, of course you have to be physically fit and have a certain level of cardiovascular fitness, but it's much, much more about being tenacious.
Because when was it? What was the year that you did the MSD before?
I did it in 2019.
Okay, so you are doing what to train then? Like, are you running?
It's really, I'm really enjoying this training because, in a slightly bizarre way, I have less pressure but more pressure. Okay. If that makes sense. So I'm training smarter this time. Last time I made some rookie errors, massively rookie errors, such as wearing, I was trained by someone who's a bit wacky, and I wore a 20-kilo vest, and I was going up and down stairs in Valbonne village for 2 hours a few times a week. Now, I weigh 48 kilos. So wearing a 20-kilo vest, going up and down stairs, pretty much, you know, it tore me a new bum, basically, literally. So I hurt myself, and I was obsessed over food and equipment, and I wasted so much energy in things that aren't necessarily, well, this time I don't have to do that. Let's just say that. Okay. That was a different race. That race was because we had crossed the Pacific as a family, and you know, and I wanted to do something for just me.
Yeah.
Whereas this time it's much more about healing and forgiveness. So yeah, so I am doing some pretty cool training. I have I'm doing a lot more strength training, which for me, normally people have to drag me by my ear to go into a gym. I don't mind doing it. I just don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a bizarre thing. I'm a cardio high person. I've been running since I'm a little girl. And, but I'm really enjoying being in the gym and doing legs and doing core and doing some different stuff. It's fun. And I'm being much more attentive to my protein intake.
Okay. Wow.
Much more attentive. Whereas last time I got maybe too lean. and I don't think I had enough. Well, I did just fine, but this time around, I'm hoping to be a little bit more strong in my core and in my legs.
Okay.
Um,
So
and
how, if I can just ask you then, I mean, it's for you, it's going to be about like there's a lot to think about there because it's healing. And for over 6 days, that I'm pretty sure you can feel 6 days just with that one thing. But you're also taking this on to support two charities. I wrote them down because you did change them. I think one is called The Other Ones, and the other is the
Charlie Waller
Charlie
Trust.
Weller Trust. Okay. How does that element of using fundraising, how does
Mm,
that also motivate you to complete this? And can you
mm.
just tell us a little bit about why you chose these two charities?
Of course, of course. Well, I believe that healing is an energetic process that involves everyone around me. So, when people give money and give energy, it's also about giving towards my cause to help, heal each other. It's
Hmm.
like I'm doing this to help myself and to help other people, and vice versa. And the in doing charitable work, it just means that I'm not alone, I suppose, and that there is a wonderful cause at the end of it. And I decided to choose these charities. I like doing one in the States and one in the UK, because it's quite nice to do something here in the UK, but also because I grew up in America and
That's
I have
right.
lots of American friends who say, "Honey, I can't, I don't have pounds, I don't have euros, I don't understand what I had." Whereas if I have a charity in dollars, it's just much easier. So I'm pretty convinced that mental health issues and patterns and addiction issues really start to form properly in people when they're teenagers.
Okay.
And I have three teenagers. I've seen what the past 2 years have done to teens in general in terms of communication and being able to express themselves. And I'm concerned about the next generation because they've been set back a couple of years, and
Hmm.
bearing in mind drugs are an escape, and I just would love to be able to help mental health issues right here on the ground in the UK. So that's how I chose the Charlie Waller Trust. And it just so happens that Charlie was a friend of one of my very best friends, and
Oh,
his
wow.
brother is a teacher at my children's school.
Oh, cool.
And it's a really lovely charity. It's big, but it's small.
Okay.
And so I'm really really excited about that, and I hope to actually work with them and be able to go into some schools and talk about my experience about how I use my own mental strength to hopefully finish the race. And the other organization is called The Other Ones, which is in Austin, Texas, and it is directly helping homeless people. And they have a $5 million project on the go at the moment, and they're building a compound that acts as a go-between, so between the street and where they would be housed and have jobs. And there's training and mental support and that sort of thing.
And how can people out there, how can they support you? Where can they find how can they support these charities through you?
So I have an Instagram, which is now called Team Operation 67, because I had 67 days to train for this cuckoo race. And the links are
So I really get a kick out of Kerri and her energy. It's funny just watching that video, having talked to her maybe a month ago. A couple of things just come to mind that want to reiterate. One is that no matter what level we are, no matter what we're doing for training, the first time we try something, we make mistakes and we learn from those mistakes. Like she said, the first time she did the marathon de Sable, she thought she was supposed to do it a certain way and be really tough and be strong. But strength isn't necessarily about, you know, hurting ourselves and pushing ourselves through really long distances and using overweights and things like that. And I love to hear how she has found some inner strength to find a new way, a new approach to try the same race. I think it takes a lot of confidence for all of us just to do what we feel is our right program. And swim run is one of those sports, especially when you first start off and you see what other people are wearing, or you go online and see like how much neoprene you could possibly put on your body to not be cold in Sweden. The thing is that what works for one person doesn't work for another. You need to really feel comfortable, and you need to be able to breathe and move in all of that equipment. So do your own thing. Everybody's doing their own thing. Don't look at other people. For me, that's one of the bigger strengths of Kerri, and to share with you guys. And the other thing really is that charitable aspect. Every time I do a race, I always think after why I didn't use that fundraising element. And I think particularly in her case, as she's going through a healing process after an incredibly traumatic incident that happened to her, so random, that feeling that the support of that charity, and that's a two-way street, what she's doing for them and what they're doing for her, is so important in those moments where everyone has them in a race, where you hit that sort of rock bottom and you need to really dig deep and find some strength. And those types of elements that you add to your race are worthwhile. And I love the fact that she chose something that's personal to her. She didn't just go for the big things. And always look at that. Maybe there's something local to get other young youth, like anything we can do to encourage youth. There's charities everywhere around, and I think young people really right now, after a couple of years of COVID, need our support mentally and physically. So yeah, I hope that you got something out of that with Kerri. I wish her all the best of luck next month, and the fact that she can even get to that start line after the long track she's had in and out of hospital, problems with her arms. Can she do it? And she's just made that decision to do it her own way. And as I said, for me, strength isn't just about pounding through something. It's an inner strength to do the way you want to do it. Whatever race you decide, whatever distance you decide, do it your way. So that is it for this week's show. We miss Villa, of course, but he will be back in 2 weeks with me. And we will have another great subject for you. If there's anything that you'd like us to talk about in the world of swim run, drop us a line. Otherwise, we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.